Hello, welcome everyone. We have organized a little community battle for you guys. Vindicare and the Darkison X will face Hellic and Vintage. I am already in their lobby. Here we go. I'm telling those guys that I am ready and we can start whenever they want to. They have chosen Calderas Refinery as the map. We have Vindicare and the Darkison as their trademark orcs. Vindicare as Warboss, the Darkison as Mechboy, and Vintage as and Hellic as Knob and Sorcerer. So, both teams good players. We've seen Hellic and Vintage face off Edge and Dirk Radix in the Relic News tournament. Unfortunately, they lost. Especially the first game wasn't going very good for them. Let's see if they can make up this shame against Vindicare and the Dog. So here we go, some very slight lag going on, but it seems to have settled by now. No, not quite. So we have Vindicare and the Dark going for shooters and sluggers. They're not too keen on using mass shooters. Hellic went for CSAM and Vintage goes for slugger first, then shooter. Still some more lag going on. Hope this will settle down. We have the Mechboy of the Dog going straight to the center to cap the VP. And yeah, Vindicare went for the power node with his Warboss. Pretty standard stuff. Sorcerer now coming to center. Mechboy on his own right there. He faces a lot of units from Hellic. But there come reinforcements, 2 sluggers from the Darkison. But there's also Vintage with his Knob. The Mechboy very low on health. Doomball not really hitting those sluggers. But very nice stun bomb. Unfortunately stunning his own units, preventing him from getting any retreat kills. But the Darkison forced to completely retreat. Vindicare now on his own at center, facing 2 armies at once. This will not be going too well for him. Heretics use their Doom Blast to slow down those sluggers. And those 2 Heretics squads simply are a pain to those sluggers. One squad already goes down for Vindicare. And the Warboss now completely on his own, getting shot down by all these shooters and the Knob. CSM do their part as well. He's now finally in retreat. Vindicare used the time to decap a natural wreck point of the blue team. I'm not really sure if it's worth it, considering the amount of units he lost, especially those sluggers. That's 300 wreck already lost this early in the game. Those shooters also lose quite a few members to those sluggers as they charge in. So also not very good for the Darkison. Vintage now pushing for the enemy's generators. Hellic meanwhile more concerned about these shooters ninja capping all their wreck points. But I guess those Heretics take a terrible amount of damage. But still, with the reinforcements of the second squads, they are able to force off the shooters. Meanwhile, the Darkison uses the opening in the blue team's defense lines to strike straight at their gen farm, slightly making up for the loss of the node up here. Warboss charging in, stun bomb not hitting him. Generators will be going down for sure. The Sorcerer is on his way to try and defend them, but those 2 generators are toast for sure. Meanwhile, the Warboss is giving Vintage some trouble. Especially his shooters have to run away and lose some members even. And those sluggers are not in a good spot, but there come the stick bombs. Very nice stick bombs. Yeah, both squads equally hurt. Vintage losing slightly more members, 1 member more. And the gen farm, even the node here right at top, went completely down. Hellic now trying to contain these sluggers so they don't do any more damage. With Coruscating Flame used on the heretics, finally forcing off the sluggers, but still 3 generators and a node lost. That was a very effective Gen Bash, considering the blue team only managed to get a node and 1 single generator up here, I think. We do have Storm Boys on the field for Vindicator X. Excellent choice considering he's War Boss. The buffs he can give to them really make them a really fearsome unit. Those shooters, they should have retreated a little earlier, but they're lucky to not lose any more members. I had very nice retreat from Vindicator, not losing a single model on those Storm Boys. Storm Boys very expensive to reinforce, and so it's always good when you get them out the fight without losing too many models. And the Sorcerer doing terrible amounts of damage and disruption to all these Orc units. The Sorcerer really fearsome in combat, especially when he has the Sword of Flame. Even now, really ballsy move, teleporting right into the base to do some more damage. I think he was hoping to get a little more zeal, simply to cast Dark Flames on the base. But no, I don't think that would have been worth it. It's better used in a fight, when you can use it to force off your enemy. I did miss the Dachshund losing one of his Slugger squads, so the red team definitely on the back foot unit-wise, but the Dachshund is already going tier 2. They did get the better Gen Bash in, but Vintage is going to change that, to try and change that, with his Sluggers, with his shooters, right at those generators. Let's see what could defend it. There's 1 single Slugger squad, which definitely won't be enough. There are now some Storm Boys coming in as well. Those might be out meleeed simply by 2 Sluggers, especially with the use of stun bombs. There we go, stun bomb being thrown. Stunning, not hitting the Storm Boys. Vintage really unlucky with his stun bombs. Those shooters completely obliterated by the Storm Boys, who now face... Oh, 1 Slugger squad already forced off as well. That engagement definitely did not go too well for Vintage. And yeah, Vindicator X with his shooters still behind enemy lines, again decapping that crucial wreck point, trying to get the other one as well. Seems like he's no, that is at plus 20. That is maximum for 2 versus 2, I think. Anyway, Sorcerer again dealing really good damage to all these light Orc units. We have Hellic going tier 2 as well, so blue team making up for slightly trying to make up their tech disadvantage, but there's already a death threat on the field, and commandos for the real Vintage, they won't be able to do much to that death threat. Yeah, with the next patch, commandos will get changed in that regard. The Knob will get a missile launcher, so they will be able to deal some AV damage. But still, I think Tank Busters would still be the AV of choice for Orcs. Anyways, that Death Threat is trying to do some damage, and he's really not succeeding that well. And yeah, I was just reminded that the Commando's Knob is of course a tier 3 unit. So yeah. Still no AV in tier 2. That's why I say Tank Busters would still be the AV of choice. Anyways, that Death Threat does a good job of managing the enemy forces. He's not killing too much, but he's scaring them away. The blue team is still lacking any AV. K-Knob completely outgunned right there. With these Storm Boys, he was lucky to get away. Storm Boys getting their Knob. Maybe even getting the improved rocket pack for the Bomber Boy ability. Right now Vintage is going for Weird Boy. We missed another try at Gen Bash from Dachshund, who's already going tier 3. Very fast tier 3 from him. Here we see the bug in effect. Chaos Marines don't do firing sounds once they're rank 45. I'm not quite sure if it's in the next patch, if it will be fixed. Don't know it right now. And with Warboss engaging those sluggers, Warboss does not have any buffs on him, but that would still be an option in case he was about to lose, but it didn't look like it. With Vindicarax going for War Truck, that will be a very good choice for his Storm Boys, enabling them to stay in the field a little longer simply because they can reinforce in the field. And those sluggers, that's not a good engagement for them. They have buffs on them. Looks like both Use Your Choppers and Art Boys, or War and another buff. But that's not enough. There's a Grenade Launcher Heretic doing additional damage to them. So, not a good time to use these buffs on that unit. So the Darkison is tier 3. Looks like he queued something up already. Another Death Threat. I don't know if going tier 3 was a good idea then, because that Death Threat could have been out way earlier. Nice burner bomb by Vintage into these retreating shooter boys, completely taking them out. That was very nice use of the burner bomb. Usually you just see it used in combination with Love the Daka to try and get some easy squad kills with the disruption of Love the Daka. That was some excellently used burner bomb right there. We do have the global speed buff of the MechBoy used, buffing all vehicles. It improves speed and attack speed. That Death Threat still doesn't look like it will do too many kills, as those units are in retreat. But still, they do a good job of scaring the blue team away. We do have Plague Marines on the field right now. So the red team definitely needs to contain those to be able to freely use their Death Threats. For both Death Threats have the burners and bits equipped. So they have a little more health and they will deal a little more damage on approach. And those Plague Marines, simply incredible durability. And yeah, also that slow effect on the Storm Boys. Storm Boys, ouch! Huge losses. The squad almost goes down. 2 members left. There we go. And there come the dual Death Threats, who with their Rampage will be able to close the distance to the Plague Marines before they can do too much damage. Plague Marines, really slow unit. Yeah, they take a lot of damage. With Vindicarax going tier 3 right now as well, the Darkison still hasn't been able to afford anything tier 3. His power income his stored up power isn't high enough to buy anything. That's what I wanted to say. Anyways, I haven't actually seen that weird boy do too much as well. He's out of energy, so he's using abilities left and right, but it's not having a too great effect on the battlefield. With those Plague Marines almost going down, 1 model left, 500 hit points, as they do heal themselves when a model is killed. Both Death Threats using Rampage, try and get away. The missile unfortunately got stuck on some... Oh no, it did hit the Death Threat. It was just so fast with the Rampage that I didn't see it. Vintage, as we can see, is tier 3. He has equipped the rocket launcher, so that low health Death Threat really needs to be careful. The rocket launcher deals terrible amounts of damage to everything that is a vehicle. And not a good engagement for Hellic. He might lose his Heretics, I'm not sure. Yeah, there goes the squad. So 1 squad of Heretics down. First squad loss for Hellic, actually, if I am correct. We do have the Sorcerer again in melee with those sluggers, and he's actually able to force them off with the Commando support and the Weird Boy right there. Weird Boy is about at half health. Needs to be a little more careful. And we do see Knobs on the field for the Darkison. I'm pretty scared of Knobs after the patch. I mean, they will get huge buffs with hammers. So yeah, I think they will be seen a lot more, and they will have more of a presence on the battlefield, dealing more damage, especially against super units. I think they will be pretty good. And we do have the real Vintage going for a looted tank. In case you've seen my last cast with Vintage versus the Axis, I think they faced before. I think it was the same teams. Vintage really made nice use of a looted tank, and he was really good at keeping it alive and constantly forcing his enemy to try and do something about it. Stick bombs on the Nob squad not dealing too much damage, especially since the Nob leader just got reinforced after the stick bombs hit, and that K-Nob not looking too good for him. But there's Warp Vomit slowing down one of the death threats, but the DaDok isn't teleported in with his mech boy, uses the Mega Rumbler, completely locking down all of those units. Especially the Weird Boy is not in a good position. He might go down. There he goes. Nob's pop frenzy to try and close the distance a little faster. Maybe even shield from the Weird Boy explosion. Weird Boy detonates. There's the looted tanks, so the red team needs to get some AV. I completely ignored VP so far. We have 285 to 256 in favor of the blue team currently. And those Storm Boys really low on health, but they try to get some kills onto these CSM. They fail. Now with some sync kills, they're stuck in retreat, sort of. Ouch! That Woodruck is going down to the looted tank, but we do see the Mac Boy using the Beamy Death Gun with the teleport, not desetting him up. He will be able to hunt down that looted tank. Just look at that damage. That is really high. Let's see, will he get another shot off? No, the tank moves out of range just as the cooldown on the Beamy Death Gun finishes. Not too sure if another shot would have taken it down, but it was very close. We do have Hellic using another Plague Marine squad. Those are really a pain to deal with. You can't completely ignore them, because even they do little range damage to infantry, but it simply stacks up. Look at those shooter boys. They're already at half health, and those Plague Marines are still almost at full health, simply because they regenerate so much. And there's a single... oh, that Nob squad, yeah. Pathing Joyce, completely separating that squad. We do see a stun bomb on Darkazan's Nobs. Love the Daka and Burner Bomb and Stick Bombs used at the same time. Really nice combination of abilities employed by Vintage. And those Storm Boys, not a good decision to jump into those two sluggers, the commandos and the tank. But here comes the Nob support. I'm not sure if they will be able to take on both these sluggers unless they receive Warboss buffs. But there comes the Frenzy. And there come the Death Threats as well. Mechboy is setting up with his Beamy Death Gun. He will be able to force off the looted tank. Looted tank can't stay in the fight. There's another Weird Boy for Vintage. Losing that first Weird Boy really hurt. And there's another Mega Rumbler. We might see that Slugger Nub go down. There comes the hammer down onto his face, killing him off. K-Nob also knocked onto his butt, down to 300 hit points. He will make it away. Mechboy goes down, so that tank won't be killed by the Mechboy at least. He had to make a decision, either shoot at ranged onto that tank or teleport in and use the Mega Rumbler. I think the Mega Rumbler was the better decision since he forced off Vintage's forces, more or less. But that tank is still around, those CSMs are still around, and the blue team is still leading in VPs. And as Hellic is getting a Chaos Predator, the red team really needs to improve on their AV. They have no hard AV on the field. They simply have these Nobs with hammers. We do see the Darkazan going for some commandos himself. Vindi Carriax very low on squads. We have the Darkazan really saving up a lot of resources. Yeah, of course, the mech boy also has the beamy death gun as hard AV, but he's currently down, and it's the only source of real hard AV at range that the red team can employ. Um, so yeah, I think the red team definitely needs to get some tank busters, and I don't know what the Darkazin is doing. He's saving up all these resources, not spending them, and Vindicarax just lost an entire Slugger squad. To his, yeah, to that burner bomb, maybe even his own. I don't know. Those commanders are at full energy. I don't know if they used their burner bomb. That was weird for sure. And there's the Chaos Predator with the Mark of Zinj. So yeah, the red team definitely needs some more tank busters or anything, looters maybe. But they're setup teams. I don't think they would do too much. Yeah, the DaDok is not spending his resources. I think that's a terrible mistake. He does have a large army, but he has all these resources stored up, and they won't do anything good stored up on his HQ. He needs to get some more units, maybe some tanks of his own. Lascan takes out that Death Turret. There was a ton of stuff dying right there. The red team definitely losing a lot of units. The Darkazin lost some sluggers, I believe. Both Death Turrets are down. There's simply too much AV right now. The Darkazin still floating ridiculous amounts of units. This is not Dawn of War 1. There's no Squiggoth. You really need to get more units onto the field. And I think, yeah, his stubbornness to spend resources might, yeah, it cost them the game, since there's no way they can make a comeback right now. With Vintage having his own knobs on the field, and with all this firepower poured into those poor knobs of the Darkazin, yeah, really, I don't see them making a comeback. With commandos used as ninja cappers, stopping the VP count, but the blue team is free to take both VPs, the center and the left one, as Vindicare doesn't have quite enough units to face all these units employed by Hellic. Especially that last can Predator really delivers excellent fire support. And yeah, those knobs slowed down by the Plague Marines. They pop Frenzy right now, but they're still slowed down by the Plague Marines. And you can see they couldn't approach that tank. The tank was free to deliver more and more damage to those knobs. Red team actually managed to capture the left point, but there's still this huge army, especially those two Plague Marines. Those have been really useful. They simply didn't die. Oh my god, Imperial Abyss on Vindicator's base. Those knobs really lucky to get stuck in retreat a little longer. They still take tremendous amounts of damage in their own base. But yeah, they got really lucky, otherwise that squad would have been dead. The Sorcerer of Hellic goes down. He was most likely trying to take out that knob squad, or I don't know, he teleported in for vision. Doesn't matter, he went down. One last Gen Bash. We do see the Mech Boy capping, but the blue team simply has so many units on the field, and they still have 200 VPs lead right now, so really it's not looking good. This could be an interesting fight. We do have two knobs from the Darkazin. Mega Rumbler being used as well. If those knobs of him pop Frenzy, they would be, yeah, there we go, they pop Frenzy. And now they're not knocked down anymore by their own Mega Rumblers, so they're free to do terrible damage to these Sluggers. Sluggers almost go down, but now they concentrate on the knobs, and the knobs really take terrible amounts of damage. We also see the custom force field being used. Nice time to use it. Completely caught Vintage off guard, almost losing his knobs. But there's two Mark of Zinj Predators, and that's simply too much firepower. Oh, it was super tough beam. Okay. I thought it was the overcharge. Oh yeah, the overcharge is on the Mech Boy. Right. I'm not a Mech player, so I don't know that. But those two Zinj Predators really deal, oh my god, so much damage. And yeah, they got really synced up in their firing cycles, really alternating fires, really dealing quite a lot of pain. And those commandos simply staying at the right VP, ninja capping it as soon as it's available, as it's free. And also with their burner bomb, they will be able to deal with any stray cappers that try to capture it, like those sluggers. Let's see. I'm not sure how much energy the burner bomb is, but there we go. Apparently it's 40. And yeah, those, ouch! And Love the DaDok costs war to use, so there we go. Those sluggers, ouch, 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 ouch. Terrible damage while trying to capture. Vindicare X somehow manages to keep holding that left VP as well. Burner Bomb used on the Plague Marines, Love the DaDok as well. So those commandos, really useful units so far. The Dachshund had to retreat his own since there was a tank showing up, that Weird Boy as well. Still haven't seen that Weird Boy used with too great effect. We do see the Smoke Bomb used to cover the approach of those knobs. Again, really nice use by these of these abilities. And yeah, those two Zinj Predators are back to deliver pain to those knobs, and the knobs are completely outgunned. But there are two more knob squads of the Dachshund. Now it's suddenly looking a little different. We still have the Mech Boy somewhere. I can't make him out as his icon is gone. But he was firing at one of those Chaos Predators, almost taking him down. But those knobs, the Dachshund losing one. No, oh no, that's Subjugate. Alright. Mechboy actually went down again. Yeah, Hellic using Subjugate to place those knobs in an unfavorable position. The Dachshund really late to retreat those. He should have done that right away. But if they don't lose any models, yeah, they don't lose any models, so I think they're still fine. Anyways, control of the right VP changed back to the blue team as Vintage used his commandos to try and deal with the Dog's commandos. I don't know if Vindicare will be able to hold the left VP. It looks like he will be losing that as well. So right now I would call the GG, since really the red team did make some nice last ditch efforts, but it's really not enough. And there we go, 0 VPs onto the stat screen. I'm not host, so I quickly have to remind the players to let me look at the stats really quick. I can save the replay. Vindi, DaDok versus Hellic. Vintage 1. They agreed to play a best of 3 at the start, so we might see 2 more games depending on how if the Dachshund and Vindicare X make a recovery. So commanded score, we have Hellic going down once to his own nuke. Dachshund died 3 times. I would blame Mega Rumbler for all of these deaths. Vindicare X went down once. We do have a very excellent unit score for Hellic. Yeah, Vintage is noticing that as well. Actually, it's higher than all the other players combined. Isn't that hard since Vindicare X's score is 0. We have Vintage, also a positive kill to death. The Dachshund is 0 in that regard, and Vindicare X lost a ton of units, especially that nuke in his base was really killing a lot of models, so unit score 0. Really not good. Resources, we do have Hellic and Vintage in a 400 power advantage. Also, yeah, Hellic has the least wreck collected. I think he did the best job at unit preservation, so he had the highest upkeep. everyone else was around 7,000 Rex, so that's nothing to take note of, I think. Yeah, but still 400 power advantage. Those last generator bashes really were quite good. I have to check again. What did Bluefoot say? Alright. Yeah. We'll wait real quickly. I'll tell the players that we're ready to go on. We'll just have to make some cuts. Anyways, stay tuned as we proceed to game 2.